Lady said he's not muted. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
I like that.
We got muted for a moment, but we're back with the FSL qualifiers. Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia. I'm Spoot. He's hungry. We're jumping into Champion Select for Corgi's Butt and Top 10 DINO.
Yeah, I like how we started on a very interesting note, but that being said, picks and bans on the way. Ari, Zoe, and Nico be banned out. Yorick left open for Urif. It's a trap, don't do it! It is going to be the Kaiser locked in this time for Vortex. And Anomalous once more, I think they had a decent performance last game, but to be fair, it's hard to assess the performance of your bot lane when mid is just steamrolling.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is pretty standard. We've seen it being okay, I think, in the previous game. Better than yesterday at the very least, so this is, just box standard. On the other side, we do see the Jarvan again, so we're going back to basic. Sivir locked in. Might see... Yeah.
I think you don't do Sivir Yumi here. Even Sivir alone is kind of tricky, but then again, they might just end up doing Sivir Rakan and we just end up face bombing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's it's not very good, but I agree Sivir Yumi is not exactly the best bot lane to go into a Nautilus. Karma slightly better. You have two bodies on the board, so it makes it harder for Nautilus to target select.
The way Sivir Karma would work also is that you end up poking the bot lane out before they can engage you. So because Nautilus is melee, he's going to be chunked out to like 3/4 of health, half health before they start the fight. You'll be forced to burn through the potions if you do end up playing that sort of bot lane poke style. Of course, Karma can still be flexed into mid lane, can be flexed into top lane, so multiple options open, but I don't think that you want to play utility Karma in solo lane, so when you have a Sivir on your side, not really the hyper carry you're looking to support, really.
Right now we do see Poppy locked in, so top 10 DINO are coming into today with, a pre-thought out plan on what they want to do. But the thing about that is now that Zoe is banned, that was a very strong pick we saw in last game. Hungry, what do you think we're going to see in coming in the mid lane?
Mid lane, honestly, you could wait for the last pick if you are DINOs because you're on red side. The Poppy just want to add some further information as a counter pick, or rather a tool that if you deals with the Jarvan, because Steadfast Presence does deny the flag and drag, you knock him out of it, and therefore there's going to be no follow-up knock-up through that. So I can see the idea of this pick. We saw it not yesterday rather, just now against the Renekton, the value of Steadfast Presence, the W on Poppy, blocking people from the out. So this time it's going to be the Jarvan and Tryndamere bans on the top side. They want to get Urif something that isn't going to be split push to death against with. So, and Cannon here and the Yorick against Urif.
And obviously, right, Poppy is that flexible threat. You can put it in the top lane right now.
Yeah.
I believe we actually saw it in, correct me if I'm wrong, the Thailand or Vietnam qualifiers?
Yes, we did. So the team that played it into Irelia, and they thoroughly decimated that matchup, I believe. So, like you said, Poppy is a flex pick now, can go to top, can go to jungle, but Poppy the previous game was not particularly bad. I felt like had a decent performance.
Very strong.
Yeah, very strong, right? On this time going to be locked in for Urif. Okay, this makes sense. So, no Yorick, no Nico. Your next sort of default pick is going to be the On, right? And why do you ban out Tryndamere and Jackson? Because On is terrible dealing against split pushes. You soak the wave, you push up with your passive items, you get some fire cape, right, to sort of push the wave up. Then you contribute in terms of team fights. You don't contribute by split pushing.
But right now we're going to go with the Kled. So Kled changes with the healing, but Ornn doesn't come with much sustain.
So it doesn't matter, but the nature of the matchup is that Kled is still going to be better than Ornn because of how the traits work. I like that now I'm on color, I can give you more sort of inside information about these matchups. So Kled versus Ornn, when it comes to Bellows Breath, the Ornn W, if you dash through, Ornn cannot change direction midway. You actually end up flanking the Ornn and dealing a lot of damage and not being stunned up either because the channel didn't follow through. You have to stand under W for, I think, at least a second, 1.2 seconds for the Brittle to sort of come to effect, right? So by dashing through the Ornn when she channels W, you actually get behind her and are able to trade more efficiently in that sense.
And here's the thing, if you look at blue side, right, Corgis right now, that's a very speedy team. You can tell that what they want to do, they want to jump in on you, and they want to, look for team fights that way.
To do so with the Corgi, though, I think is a mistake. They could have finished off the composition with something a bit more mobile. If you're going to run this comp, and you were afraid, or rather you wanted to follow up your style of going all in, or you want to go for counter engage, you could have picked the Orianna instead of the Corgi early on, because you did have early prior in terms of the draft.
Yeah, definitely. When you have the Jarvan, I think Orianna was something that was definitely left on the board, so Corgi very questionable, like you said. On the other side, though, I think the Orianna into this comp isn't actually that bad either. You also have that sort of jumping in with the Poppy, you have the Kai'Sa with the
Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct jumping in the backline. So Orianna also pretty effective on both sides here.
The value of the Orianna here is also you have this strong counter engage coming through when Kled and Jarvan move in. It's so telegraphed that these skills are so telegraphed that your opponents are looking to all in you, that you just all you need is for your team to position in front of you and soak the aggression, and you put the ball in a position that forces the enemies to sort of split up, right? So when Jarvan and Kled moves in, it takes a while for Corgi, Sivir, and Karma to follow up. You put the ball in between. You split the front line and the back line. You fight front to back because you have Kai'Sa. You have enough DPS when Kai'Sa gets to the point where she's just going to shred tanks.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you take a look right now, top 10 Dinos certainly have, tankier members on their team, Ornn and Poppy up against what should be a Kled, which should be going into more of a bruiser build.
Yeah, so I think if you play Kled here, you do Conqueror into Tiamat first, and then the next couple items are debatable. Most people might want to go Black Cleaver to impact team fights. The other option is to go for the heavy split push sort of style where you take a bit more tanky stats, Derek's Gauge into Death Stance, just basically sit in the side lane and never relent pressure.
Yeah, and certainly you do have the charge where you can use to go in for those instant flanks that are very difficult to predict on the side of top 10 Dino. So, like you said, I think Ornn wasn't very good into split pushing.
Yeah.
So Kled definitely has a bit of an advantage there, I think.
If you do Kled into Tiamat Ravenous Hydra, you actually just perma push the Ornn out for days. The Ornn player will be forced to use W and Q to clear the wave out, whereas Kled is just going to be auto-attacking the wave, and be fine sustaining up through the lifesteal on the Ravenous Hydra, right? So that's how you could deal with this Ornn. And in fact, when it moves into flanking, like you mentioned, your flanking and teamfight potential is more instantaneous than Ornn. Call of the Forge God is actually really tricky to land nowadays, especially against enemies that position spread out as opposed to clumped up. So you find open spaces, Kled has more of a strength than Ornn.
Wouldn't it be an issue though? I mean, if you're going to push up that far, I think we've shown that Zbabi here has been very happy going to the top side. So I think something we can expect is since Kled does have the perma push on the Ornn, Poppy can come up for quite influential ganks.
Right, I understand. Yeah, so we just got word from our production team that we are in game because we're on 3-minute delay. So
Okay.
the teams have sort of paused it out at the start to switch up some pieces of their computers for technical problems. I think it is the PC that has an issue, so she's going to be swapping out to a different set of computers. Oh yeah, she's at a LAN shop. My bad.
Yep.
So she is at a LAN shop, so she's going to be swapping over to a different PC because the current one has issues, but we'll find out when we go into game. Right now we are informed because of the 3-minute delay.
Yep, I mean, we've seen a few technical difficulties. That's why we had a, relatively long pause earlier today. Hopefully we should get that sorted out for you guys momentarily. It shouldn't be too long of a delay.
Right. Looking at the lanes though, if you compare man to man or woman to woman in this
Sure.
case, Kled is definitely going to have the lane power against Ornn early on. In terms of jungle strength, I always say this: if Jarvan goes for Conqueror, Cinderhawk, Challenging Smite will do well against almost any counterpart that Jarvan goes up against. But if you do that Electrocute into Challenging Smite into Warrior, well, you're gonna have a bad time against the Poppy because she can stand and deliver. Long term, yep, it's gonna be. You can't see this right now, but on the loading screen, it's gonna be the Conqueror for the Jarvan. So I fully expect Cinderhawk Challenging Smite Jarvan.
But that's an electrocute on the Poppy, so...
The reason why you do Electrocute is because you proc it super quickly in ganks. You walk in, E auto Q, instant Electrocute pop, instant Electrocute proc, and then you put up the Steadfast Presence to deny them from dashing out, right? You look at the enemy composition right now. Kled and Corgi both have dashes that you can deny. Sivir and Karma, they're just gonna run, right?
Yep.
And you can follow through if you have the CC from your team.
100% agree. I think if we cast our mind to the previous game, I think the one example I want to bring up is when Poppy actually just showed up to the top side and instantly deleted Renekton from about half health with that huge combo. So definitely agree. I think Electrocute is something you can pick on the Poppy and play to great effect right now.
Look at the keystones on the Orianna. Elema went for the Phase Rush, which is an interesting adaptation. I'm trying to understand the theory behind this pickup, because against Corgi, your trade pattern is walk up QW auto, right? Or QWE. So you can proc Phase Rush extremely quickly, but the downside is, to me, it sounds like you don't have any combat spells. It is a kiting tool, but you don't have anything that really supports your team in terms of team fighting value or laning value. This is a strictly selfish Keystone, if I had to put it that way.
And here's the pause, right? Let's continue talking about, I think, that mid lane matchup. I think, the Corgi here is still going to have that approach priority into the Orianna, so we're going to have to question whether or not she is going to find those opportunities to proc the phase rush.
Even with the numbers change, Corgi has a decent time pushing in against enemies because of the nature of the champion. ADC style auto attacks are always going to be more valuable when it comes to pushing lanes out, especially when you go for Doran's Blade early on, right? So the value is there. Looking at the interesting masteries on the side of all the champions, so no surprise here for the Jarvan did go for the out of combat movement speed as well as the zombie ward, which is what you expect. Corgi did go for time warp tonic and the boots there as well as the lifesteal, so that's good. Normally you would see greedy ADC style players go for the attack speed. This time not really so. Several going for boots and biscuits. This is 9.16 nerf biscuits, so they come at 2, 4, and 6 minutes respectively. Whereas Karma here did go for the additional tanky stats, so she's going to be looking to bear the brunt of the trade and giving out as much as she takes with the Scorch as well.
Yeah, we have talked about, the dissuasion that the Karma does bring, able to continuously poke the Nautilus so that he's too low to come in. But I would like to wager that if Kai'Sa and Nautilus play this lane well enough, I think they can still look for those opportunities to punish any sorts of mistakes that Silver Karma end up making.
That's the thing, right? You have to play aggressive if you want to punish this lane, and you have to do it at the start. You can't wait. The moment you get chunked out, Nautilus takes a couple of soul flares to the face. There's literally nothing you can do to all in without risking, a 1-for-1 trade at least.
Yeah, definitely. You can see that it's an ignite versus a heal. So
can we move back to Kai'Sa? I'm curious,
Sure.
actually. So normally, if you play Kai'Sa as ADC, you actually still do go for boots and biscuits, but in this case, she went for absolute focus and mana flow ban. So I'm trying to understand the logic because mana flow ban synergizes with mana mute, right? But absolute focus is quite greedy because you're going to be on half health most of the time. You're not exactly a high range champion who's going to be kiting a lot. You're going to be in the thick of things, right? That's keystone of that rune. Gives you bonus damage when you're above 70% health. She's not going to be above 70% health most of the time in team fights. So I'm thinking this is a laning centric rune, as it were. Yeah, there you go. So you get extra damage when you're above 70% health, which is super greedy, right? Especially against a poke lane like Silver Karma.
Think about this though, I mean, in the previous game we saw that most of what this Kai'Sa was doing is just diving in the background to sweep out fights, and that's something that if you want to do and, excel at, just jumping in at the end of fights, I think the absolute focus is something that can supplement that.
But then it becomes like a greed thing, right? If I go in for the backline all-ins, I'm going to be at full health, I want to pick up someone real quick with my burst of damage, the extra damage that I get, right? But if you fail to do so, if you fall behind, then that keystone is practically useless. Or that mastery or that rune is practically useless. That being said, she did go for the lifesteal, which is pretty normal, I think, on Kai'Sa players. We're waiting for Coco, if you saw earlier, to reconnect. There you go, and now she's back in the game. We should be able to jump in relatively soon, once both teams are ready.
Ooh, and like back to the point about Kai'Sa, I think one caveat rather that determines whether she's able to pull off this sort of greedy playstyle is how well Aylema does on this Orianna. Obviously, it's quite the different playstyle from Zoe, so whether or not she does well can really facilitate whether or not Kai'Sa can do that backline dive like we were talking about.
So with this current patch, the meta has shifted towards mid lane being the linchpin, as it were, of the team, and because of these mage style champions, we end up playing priority ping pong, right? Both mid laners just end up pushing the waves back and forth and trying to joust for control of the mid lane. In the previous patches where it was Assassins as Aurelia and Akali and Silas, that style, mid lane prio wasn't so much of an issue. It was looking to enforce pressure of your jungle and roaming out, right? So in this sort of mid lane centric meta, Orianna and Corgi will be jousting for positioning in the mid lane.
Alright, we're finally back on the Rift after the pause to determine who's gonna go into the Singapore, Malaysian and Indonesian qualifier finals between Corgi's Butt and Top 10 DINO.
Going for the Corrupting Pot start, very greedy here coming in from 6-4. I think the better option here would have just been the Doran's Blade to just not only be able to auto-attack the wave more, but stay away from trades. You don't want to be able to, you don't want to trade up against this Orianna early on. Just look to clear the wave because of your numbers changes. A lot of the values have been shifted away from trading. play the safe scaling style ADC.
Alright, as we take a look back on this mid lane, Corgi's but finally living up to their namesake, taking the Corgi earlier, if you did so, was shaking that booty.
Yeah, man.
This is the best skin in the game, honestly.
Honestly, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That and the Nunu one, which looks like it was ripped out of Monsters Inc.
That one is great.
Yeah,
as
that one is
well,
great
yeah.
as well, right? Yeah, those two are my favorite skins. I saw that for the first time, I was like, is that Sully? Like, jeez.
Alright, skin connoisseurs going on as we actually do see both Raptor wards coming down, so that's decent information for both junglers.
Remember the previous game we saw Isbawi played, she went red buff into Crux into a late timing on the counter gank. I want to see her move to Raptors this time, at least, because Poppy has a decent effort at clearing these big camps with her Q coming in. Instead, she will default over to the Crux once more. Meanwhile, Jarvan not going to get spotted out until she kites over. Just a step away, but instead still staying in Fog of War. You can see she's moving towards the brush instead.
Yeah, not to mention though about the Poppy, going through Crux just really puts off your timings. Not to mention she is not able to go for those cheese ganks that say the Jarvan could, you know. Level 2 for Poppy doesn't do that much in ganking pressure.
By the time she hits to the bot lane, it's gonna be around 450. And speaking of which, she might be like looking to move to the top side for a cheese gank. Level 2 though, you're only 2 camps in. Maybe you just ward, because if you show top side right now, Jarvan's pretty much just gonna walk into your bottom half of the jungle and take everything after recalling.
I remember right, this Kled is actually very difficult to gank for because when you below a certain threshold, she'll just, you know, demount and you just can't attack for a moment and she can just get away from there.
Yeah, you'll see the Kled start taking an advantage in trades later on when it comes to the mobility. Oh, okay, early sweeper will give a bit more safety now, considering that they got the zombie ward on the top side. But now both junglers sort of know where each other are just by nature of the ward timings, because if you saw a ward there, it's either Ornn or Poppy. And best bet is it's Poppy because Ornn hasn't left the lane yet. So now they both sort of know where each other is. Jarvan is top side and Poppy should be on Wolves, or at least her blue buff right now.
Alright, we actually saw a danger ping coming in the top side river. Not actually sure what that was supposed to be. Perhaps they were trying to, you know, sort of predict where the Poppy is, rather unsuccessfully, as Poppy actually is on bot side at the moment.
She needs to go down and cover bot lane and take the Scuttle Crab because they pushed up quite far. And of course you do not expect the Jarvan to move down, but you want to play towards the bot side a bit more as opposed to mid, which is shoving.
Alright, Jarvan actually positioning a little aggressively. A ward coming down in Tribush, so Ornn should not have any information right now. Actually going in for a gank here.
This is a mistake. They shouldn't make this play happen. Yeah.
But they're just going to disengage. About 2v1, just going to push in that way.
What they could look to do is make the dive happen, because like you said, you know, Kled can remount, but they're just playing careful there as they go all in here on the bot side. A lot of damage down.
Yep, nothing more going to come out of that as they do spot out the Poppy on that ward, so 2 ganks so far in the game. Nothing going to come out too much, but Zbabi is actually going to go rather aggressively into the enemy jungle, places down a ward, is going to get spotted out again, so one might think not much is going to come out of this.
Because of the counter ward there, Bobby shouldn't be able to take the Crux safely unless her support comes with her. There you go, yeah. So this takes away from the attention in the lane and diverts it into the jungle to get the Poppy a small lead. I say small, it's still quite significant because taking the Crux camp is actually a good amount of EXP going the way of the enemies, but meanwhile teleport coming from Sivir to catch the wave.
Yep, as the wave continues to bounce back towards Kai'Sa, we shouldn't see much. Poppy, actually all three laners here just gonna back off and buy stuff.
Mid lane, Prio coming through, and this is what happens when you go for the Corrupting Potion. There is 0 combat value in that. There's no ability to CS properly. She's gonna, you end up missing a lot of the minions because you don't have the bonus attack damage. You're too concentrated on using Phosphorus Bombs to clear the wave, and you always end up missing CS because under turret without Doran's Blade is super difficult for Corgi to CS. Yeah, you're just gonna miss everything here.
Oof. Yeah, so we talked about...
She's gonna miss this too.
Oh, she got it!
Okay. Oh, there you go. That is what I mean. You know, you could see she missed it by a couple of HP. That's why you need the Doran's Blade, and that's what I'm talking about, right? You don't want to go for these trades. You just under turret and CS. At the start, I said getting Corrupting Pot is a mistake. Now you can see that she's down CS just because of that.
Yeah, we talked about, you know, lane priority coming in for Corgi earlier, now non-existent because of that Doran's Blade issue.
If you start Doran's Blade straight up, you get lane priority. You just auto-attack the wave, you sidestep the ball, and you position in a way that if Orianna wants to trade with you, she has to take aggro from minions because your wave is always going to be pushed up.
100%. And now, Oriana did manage to go back and cheat that back recall. So, advantage to Oriana right now.
She can actually freeze the wave up. Let's if we can turn the camera over to the mid lane for a while. Look at this. She's just holding the wave here and she can freeze for a while. Of course, it's going to push in 1.5 waves, but it forces Corgi to be in a very poor position when she comes back into lane because there's a window now where Jarvan has to cover mid.
Cover mid right now, just moving towards the top side. We might actually see a bit of a skirmish here going for that Scuttle Crab. Both junglers actually going to meet. Oh, jumping in is the Poppy, stunned up on the Jarvan. Dragon Drag denied, Shockwave. That's gonna be a very low Jarvan. First blood over to the Poppy.
Now, if you saw on the minimap, there was instant prio gain from the Oriana and from the Ornn. Corgi had recalled, so there was no one to support the Jarvan. There was a misplay coming in. The jungler of the Corgis, there was no reason for you to be extended that far. And Poppy is of course going to capitalize when your teammates aren't there.
Yeah, 100%. Plus the fact that Aylema was actually pushing up so far, was able to answer first. That's going to be a huge advantage so far going to top 10 Dino.
See the trickle-down effect. Because Jarvan died, there's no one to sort of come over and cover this lane. Jarvan dead means Aylema gets to push up, poke Corgi under turret and deny CS right now. So you more or less know, okay, Jarvan isn't going to be here anytime soon. I am literally just going to walk past the river and auto-attack you and kill you under your own turret. Look at how aggressive the Oriana is playing in the mid lane.
Right now they do have
even better.
Ooh, this is good information coming in from top 10 Dino. Actually, not gonna spot out that ward. So Ornn understands that Jarvan might be pathing top.
And because you are Ornn, you can sort of reset and make your own items here. If you look at the Ornn right now, she's just going to be buying up, meanwhile bot lane.
Sivir does pick up the kill onto Kai'Sa. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. We did see some interesting skirmishes going on. I think Kai'Sa actually walked up too far since Nautilus was not there with her.
Ward with a control ward in that tri-brush right there means that if you face check, a tether is not going to be able to... A tether will probably kill you over there. I think both the support and the ADC burn flash respectively to get the kill there, so there's an advantage over to the bot lane. But a bit of a careless play coming in from Vortex on the bot side.
Say it's an advantage, I think it's just more evening out, since if we take a look at the CS deficit right now, it's still significantly behind. So if we swap over the gold here, I think both AD carries should be relatively equal,
But the reason I say it's an advantage is because think about the item power points, right?
Okay.
Kai'Sa is doing Mana Mew, Power Trough. Right now she has a tier which is 800 gold that does nothing. It's stacking. Meanwhile, the cow is actually bringing you value consistently, right? We just make that meme, you know, stocks. Because eventually it's going to cash out. You're going to move into an Essence Reaver, you're going to be super strong. So while you pick up a kill, sure it might not be a big advantage in terms of CS, but you are accruing that sort of gold curve lead when it comes into the mid game.
Alright, we're entering another lull state here. Both junglers just farming up as Jarvan takes the red buff here. We shouldn't see too much action. I think most of these lanes are, as I say that though, let just demount, but not much action gonna come out from this top lane at the moment.
626 needs to buy here because of the item difference. She is not going to be able to properly punish the Ornn, and because of the way she played the lane out early on, she's going to get shoved in consistently, and she's no longer going to be able to cheat out a recall timing coming in. So if she wants to catch a wave, she has to wait for Ornn to base first and then base after. Otherwise, she has to base early and teleport back in.
Yep, Yuriv does manage to cheat that recall though, and with the wave pushing up now for Kled, is able to go back and get that buy.
Okay, finally getting the Tiamat should be able to answer the push from the Ornn soon. You just need to play this properly. It's a micro matchup. You know? It's all about the mechanics in the top lane. Meanwhile, in the river here, you have to be very careful. The package is available for 624. A flank play will be extremely dangerous, especially given the items coming in. Sheen adds so much more damage to these all-ins against the Oriana.
Yeah, you're gonna have to begin to be careful and respect this Corgi in the mid lane. I want to see if whether or not she's gonna be able to translate, you know, this. No, I mean, since she's so behind, I think one thing she can do is, you know, sort of go into the side lanes. As we see, Jarvan is trying for a bit of counter gank here, but
so
Poppy isn't around.
On the Hunt is available, and there's no like on-demand.
We see an engage, though going in. Oh, that's a knock up, and the Jarvan does jump in. Cataclysm finds Vortex. Not gonna be able to escape this, you might think, as she does end up going down.
Yeah, that's the power of the Cataclysm against the Kai'Sa, who did blow her flash early on. Because you don't really have an actual dash, you will not be able to get out, and In the mid lane, at least now being able to clear out the waves, but the deficit is in the CS. Blue buff also given over to the Orianna.
But now that you know that the Jarvan is at the bot side, Bobby just starts up the Rift Herald. You might think that, though, I don't think there's gonna be much of a contest going on.
If this is solo queue right now, bot lane is boom. You never want to go back bot lane again if you are the jungler. Like, Bobby should never be playing on the bot now. You play to the top side because Orange still has a small advantage in terms of itemization. Sure, Kled should be able to get the prio with Tiamat back up, but given how she's been playing this matchup, it tells me that 626 is not comfortable playing into this Orange.
100%. As they do pick up the Rift Herald, where do you think is the best place where they can put this down?
You jam it mid or you jam it top right now, because both of these lanes have strengths that you can abuse, and if you jam it before the tower plates go down, you actually snowball them even further.
Alright, looks like Bubby is positioning mid lane. Lane is pushing though, so actually just gonna walk away.
Wave play is still pretty decent. You should have jammed it on that cannon minion wave when they were contesting it, so the reason why you could have done that as well is because Orianna has full control of the wave. Like, she is proxying the wave, and when I say proxy, I mean she's just standing before her own minions reach, right? So by doing that, you buy a lot of time for the Herald to walk up because turret is going to be preoccupied clearing the minions, and finally they do jam in mid lane. They get a lot of gold over, but it's shared between 3 people, and that is a bit of a fuse back coming in.
You might think they were actually trying to take the turret entirely since Corgi was backing off, and they did bring the Nautilus towards the mid.
Too greedy to try and take the turret that early on. You don't have the necessary resources to collapse because wave clear is still pretty decent from Corgi and Silver if they come in and clear it out. The idea there was just to jam it mid, have the Poppy escort the Rift Herald up. The moment the charge is almost complete, you sort of back off to give the gold over, and this is what I'm talking about. This is a trait that's supposed to work out, but you're not supposed to E back so quickly. You buy the space and then you just auto attack, and when the Q comes up, then you move back.
Alright, we saw a bit of a trade in the top lane, but not much to speak of, I think. It's a bit of a wet noodle fight right now between these two. Kled doesn't really exactly have the items to go for those effective trades.
Another value buy for the Kled would be Hex Drinker here as well, or a Merc Threads, because majority of Orange damage is magical from Q and W, right? So getting the item allows you to protect yourself from not only the Orianna later in fights, but also the Kai'Sa, who will be dealing a significant amount of magic damage. So I think a Merc Threads or Hex Drinker has a relatively high efficiency in this game.
Alright, take a look. Wave is pushing and Jarvan does go into that bush unspotted. Might go for a lane gank, but is gonna get spotted out by the Void Seeker from the Kai'Sa, so deters any sort of gank from the bot lane.
Still just coming down to cover this lane, knowing that Kai'Sa Nautilus has the opportunity to all in and kill you if they find a good angle and a vector in.
Yeah, but good Void Seeker does manage to spot him out and put down any opportunities right now. So Bubby in the enemy jungle knows full well where the Jarvan is. That's a blue buff that no one's gonna take.
Phosphorus Bomb over the wall might spell disaster here. You can see Alma rotating over. They're super early to this play. It's 3 members strong, and 626 just giving up the prio by recalling means that they will steal away the blue buff. And Corgi with no Lost Chapter is going to be suffering in this mid lane consistently as Elma gets super high lane priority.
100%. A lot of advantage going the way of top 10 DINO right now, even though all the objectives and kills are pretty limited. It's about a 2k gold lead to the side of top 10 DINO.
Now this is going to trickle down. Getting the blue buff means that you can permanently push mid lane, and Corgi is going to be stuck fending off waves. Now you get lane prio as well as the dragon.
Fanny lands the hook. That is true as Ignite comes down, but they do disengage very easily with the Sivir.
Lane prio in mid, lane prio in bot. Force the fight. You could opt to take dragon here if Spabby's feeling happy. Shockwave available, and so is Keeper's Verdict. It should almost guarantee the objective is taken if you have the right micro.
Alright, we see Urif going in for another trade. Might be a little prolonged. Nope, 66 just gonna walk away with 4 dismounting.
Why did she go for Tab Ice? It makes no sense. There's no value in the item in the top side because very little of Urif's damage is gonna be auto attacks, and I mean, fair enough if you feel like the minions are doing bad enough damage.
Ooh, package is used in the mid lane. 624 goes in on Aylema, forced to walk into the river, but Jarvan is here. Shockwave only gonna find one as Aylema is popped by the Jarvan, but we see Urif actually caught out here in the river, collapsing on 3, but backup is here as Vortex is showing up with Bubby at the moment, but actually gonna jump in, pin against the wall. Stun up is the Jarvan.
Keeper's Verdict as well.
Oh, that is a lot spent, but a lot found. 2 for 1.
This is a window now where they have to decide what they want to do with the advantage in terms of pressure. I think you straight up move to Dragon and take it with 2 members. Zbabi does a decent amount of damage now that she has Cinderhawk. She can actually solo out the dragon, super tanky. And you commit to make the rotation to send the ADC top lane and try to chip away at the top tier 1. You sacrifice this matchup and you guarantee that you get Mountain Dragon, which is so good with your composition.
Right, Aylema and Gang is actually moving towards the dragon right now. Like you said, starting it up. There is a control ward there. It should be
Doesn't matter.
spotted out, but no one's there to contest except for the Sivir, who has to back off at this threat of 3 people in the top bot lane river.
You see, bot lane is crashing, there's no one to collect, and this annoys me. You don't need 3 people to guarantee dragon is going down. Send someone to collect the wave and deny it from getting eaten up by the turret. So eventually it's going to be the Ornn that goes down, but half of the wave is gone already, and that's a wasted amount of gold.
Alright, we do see repositioning coming in from the Orianna. I don't think she's going to be able to back this, so just going to pick up blue buff, gonna go back to lane, but Jarvan is there, so you have to be careful. Smartly takes the long way around to avoid getting a collapse on.
In the previous trade, they sort of even up the numbers in terms of kill score. 27,000 to 25 is a small lead, right? But when you approach the mid game, a lot of the story is in Kai'Sa scaling up. Despite having a lot of gold on the Kai'Sa, she doesn't come online all too much. She's 6.5 to 6,000 on Sivir, but she's waiting on timings. Specifically, the Mana Mune timings to evolve, as well as the Guinsus to be completed. Right now, she only has a single Q evolve to her name.
Yep, definitely needs a little bit more to get
350.
going.
That sucks.
Not exactly the best Kai'Sa, not the best place to be in if you're this Kai'Sa. You have to continue farming up, you have to get those items before you can become those sorts of team fight threats.
So right now the window we're looking at is about 20-21 minutes for the item to be completed, depending on how much she's auto-attacking, because you can see she's playing slightly scared and they swap back. If there's a lot more of a lull state coming through, sure, it will charge up faster because she's going to be CSing, but right now, no. Pause coming through.
Ooh, pause. Okay, try to get information for you guys, but right now, I want to talk a little bit about the Kai'Sa because we were on the topic, I think. When does this Kai'Sa finally come online for you?
I think you get the Mana Mune to evolve into Muramana first. Right now she only has a Q evolve and the E evolve, I believe. No, not yet, sorry. With Mana Mune you don't have E evolve just yet, right? So you need one more attack speed item to hit your next breakpoint in terms of power. And then following that is the Mana Mune evolve, right? So I think for this itemization, she's stuck on plus 80. If you hover over the Kai'Sa supercharge, I think it's plus 80. Yeah, plus 73. So you still need the Stinger from the Nash's tooth to give you the full evolve.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, okay, we're actually back from the pause right now, so...
Like if you did Storm Razor, you'd be done by now. You would have the E evolve at this point, the Q evolve as well. It's just that it's so expensive, most people tend to stay away from the item. They are more content playing the late game and scaling up.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Power now for power later, if you go for the Mana Mune build, you are sort of scaling up, but if you go for the Storm Razor, you're saying, we need the power now. But I think what you can do right now is actually just wait and scale since you have the team fight potential, you have the front-back potential.
It makes... hold on.
We actually see an engage. Aylema actually gonna instantly pop by 3 members. But that's, what, 2 ultimates used for the pickup?
I mean, fair enough, they get mid prio now, and this forces a rotation from the Ornn and the Kai'Sa as well, frees up bot lane space. They should be able to chunk this turret down a bit, otherwise backing off frees up the rest of the waves.
Yep.
Remember that this Jarvan has super high value because literally no one can cross the Cataclysm walls, if you realize. There are no dashes available, except Kai'Sa's, which is sort of a mini dash if you want to.
Bit of a safe disengage. They were a bit worried about the threat of collapse from both sides of the river. I think one thing you do have to be worried of if you're the Jarvan though is when you put down the Cataclysm and the Poppy is around.
Yes,
she can actually stun you against the wall.
So, but we haven't seen Zbabi sort of match this Jarvan at all, and this goes back to the jungle pathing coming in early on. Remember I was saying don't take the Crocs, right, because you'll be late. And now they're on different tempos in terms of what they want to do and what they want to execute independently.
Okay. Alright, right now I think, this is gonna take the blue buff.
She already got the early one from Orianna, so this is more of like a refresh coming through. But overall, the composition coming through from Corgi is looking pretty decent when it hits their power points. Right now, they cash in the call already, you don't have to sell it just yet. Still gives you combat stats. Essence Reaver is completed to the absolute nothing of the Mana Mune. It's just a flat AD, which isn't at all that high even. I think right now it's somewhere along the lines of like 55 AD. maybe
100%.
60.
Right now, Corgi does have the package though, and we have seen that 624 right now is very happy jumping in once she gets that buff. So you have to see whether she's going to use this anytime soon.
Look at the items, or rather the boot selections choices from all the members of top 10 dinos. This is really smart, right? So you get tab eyes on Poppy as well as, no, not your mid lane, but on and Poppy at least. Tab eyes has quite high value here because Kled is going to be auto-attacking, Corgi and Silver as well, and even though Corgi does magic damage with the passive, tab eyes still reduces the damage.
Right,
so it's actually the way it works is it's kind of high efficiency tab eyes then.
Just auto-attack damage
Yeah,
in
auto-attack.
general in it.
If Orianna was afraid, she could have gone tab eyes as well, but in this case, she's going to be playing very far behind. She wants the immediate impact of the shockwave and the QW, so Sorcerer's Boots is the better choice here when you need to be able to turn the tides of the fight with shockwave.
Alright, a bit of a safe warding right now, since you can see that both the mid lane and the jungle, and the support rather, are in that tri-bush.
They're jostling for position around this area, and Corgi, Jarvan gonna get caught out.
Jarvan is gonna get caught out right now. Stunned up, pinned against the wall. Teleports are actually coming down. Cataclysm gonna find two, and that forces a flash from the Orianna. But we see the fight continue on the front line. 6-6 jumping in as top 10 dinos are forced to retreat.
But they should just back out. Don't continuously handshake the fight after you find your pick. And because your mid lane and jungle blue flash, there was no reason for you to go through. There was a sort of communication disjoint that you could see. Three of them was like, okay, three of them were saying we could go in for some more, but mid and jungle straight up calling saying we flashed out, we can't go in anymore, so that's why there's a sort of disjoint coming through.
Yeah, the moment your mid lane flashes over that wall, I don't think you can go for any more. So it was pretty smart for them to just disengage, I think.
Could have been worse in that choke. Thankfully, Kled joined in with a subpar ultimate, right? That charge was not in the proper position to cut off the escape, in fact, only used to re-engage. You know, they will find a mountain for their efforts here after getting mid-tier 1.
But take a look though, they're jumping in. Vayne's actually gonna go in and... Ooh, that was close, but they did manage to find the dragon, and now Corgi's Blood are forced to disengage.
Okay, teleport coming in, they're looking like they want to reinforce this fight, but instead, the Kai'Sa coming in to just claim bot tier 1. If they stick around, it could be trouble though, because a lot of the ultimates are coming back up.
It's going to be very difficult as the Corgi is forced to back off, but this is still 3 members behind the turret. The hook lands and is rooted up by the Jarvan. That's a huge shockwave. Bounty castle going on in the bot lane as Orianna finds a double kill. 64 forced to run away as well as the Silver hook is gonna miss. That should spell... Ooh, actually they're gonna try to turn it around.
And look at this ward inside this brush though. The control ward is gonna deny all the vision and you're having to charge out. But like I said, Kai'Sa teleported down to claim bot tier 1 was a smart move because a lot of the ultimates, the big high impact ultimates were up already. Shockwave was available at that point. It was very clear they were willing to take that dive.
Now that they do manage to find a dive, they do find a very sizable advantage over this bot lane turret. Are going to be able to take it out without any further contest. That's going to just increase their gold lead to a comfy 3000.
Every time the fight is about to break out and either team is about to handshake it, look at the ultimates. The important ones are 2 things. Shockwave, Call of the Forge God, because these are tools that will be used to split the front line and back line so Kai'Sa can fight front to back. If you can knock up the front line and make it such that the back lines are afraid to approach because Call of the Forge God is coming through, you've already won the fight that way. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, what are you looking for if you want to win the fight? You're looking for Cataclysm. Not whether it's available, but where it's going to be placed. If you can catch the back line, the Cataclysm, you probably win the fight too.
You do have to remember Aylama came in with a lot of damage in there. I think once she backs right now, I think she's going to be able to pick up the second item, and this just adds to the devastating damage that Orianna already has. So that is the high ticket ultimate that you definitely have to be aware of if you're Corgi's Blood right now.
She's doing the second item spike as opposed to the late game scaling spike. So the 2 ways you do the item pathing for Corgi rather, is you do Triforce into Rapid Fire Cannon into Infinity Edge, or you do Triforce into Infinity Edge into scaling crit items, right? So from then on you can sort of decide where you want to go. Infinity Edge up front does give you more damage, but more of a scaling sort of style as well.
Take a look though, 4 members at the top side, they're trying to siege down this turret and force Corgi to back off at the moment. They should be able to get it without too much of a tussle.
If you're Corgi, you sort of wait it out and don't take any more fights for now. You should not handshake this fight, just back off, yeah. Because you're Kled in bot lane, no TP, there's no reason for you to fight here. Just collect the waves as they come in, give the structures up, and buy some space for your collect to split push because they sent Yurif to the top side to reinforce that take, and that's going to cost them a turret on the bottom half.
Yeah, it's just going to be a turret trade right now, but what you do have right now is since that the Baron is up, you take the top lane turret, and you do have priority over the big purple worm now.
Sivir needs to pick up her Infinity Edge right now if she wants to do anything. It's the next big ticket item, right? Finally got it. Now they can start to look towards fighting a bit more. If you're caught in a Cataclysm against the Sivir, ricochets is going to be super dangerous.
Yeah, super dangerous. As you see that 4 men still continue to walk up top side, so I think they're just going to clear out some wards. No reason to start the Baron right now without a favorable fight.
Look at this, they're rounding the corner, but there's a Fnatic Death Brush being set up. If they see the Karma, they can pull the trigger here.
Might actually pull the trigger if the Karma just steps out of vision a little too much. Nope, they're actually just going to go further into the river. Blast Cone is there though, and Coco might just be cut off from the rest of her team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She can round the corner because Corgi is there. They can regroup on the back end of this, and 624 sitting in the front, Corgi is going to be able to push them off.
Alright, ooh. We actually might see a jungle tussle right now. I think both teams are positioning pretty aggressively right now in this topside jungle.
Honestly, at this point, the vision in the jungle in the top side is super important because in these chokes, the value of Ornn as well as Orianna goes up so much more. Not to mention Anolis as well.
Alright, okay, a few pokes coming down. I think they definitely agree with you, Corgi's butt right now, since they are moving into that topside jungle trying to put down some wards, but unfortunately the vision score right now is firmly in the hands of top 10 DINO there.
Meanwhile, the waves being shoved up in top side, it has to be collected. All these minions in the side lanes need to be reset and pushed up. You either do one of two things. You collect the wave and freeze it there, so your ADC gets perma-farm, or you just reshove it so you get prio in the side lane, right? You don't do one of... You don't half it. So at this point, you do need to collect some sort of advantage in the side lanes.
Alright, Dragon is actually spawning, which means top 10 DINO are beginning to turn their attention to that Cloud Drake, which in turn allows Corgis to go towards the top side and begin putting down more vision in their own jungle.
Corgis need to go and clear vision around the Baron right now because they have the potential to turn off Baron if anyone checks it. But you see, not enough sweepers on the team, so they can't do anything impactful here because they can't deny vision.
Orianna TPing top to catch that wave as the rest of top 10 DINO begin to hang around the mid lane. So right now they're just playing a bit of a 1-3-1. Not exactly the best thing you can do for Orianna or Ornn.
There's a free dragon because of the positioning on the map. There's a slightly poor macro coming in from Corgis. If you had cleared the ward in the mid lane and in the jungle, you could actually bait the Baron check and then turn off it with Kled. And they didn't really do that, so that is the option that they can execute though.
Take a look now, top 10 DINO, they know that they have the damage advantage. They are going into that jungle to place down wards of their own, just going to replace the lost vision that they had to forego for the dragon.
If you're trading vision back and forth, it just means that your top side now, because you have taken top tier 1, becomes the strong side of the map, right? And right now, if anything, as long as your top is pushing, you can start to do things like this, you know, sit in the jungle, wait for people to walk in and check, and you could even sneak away the Baron. At this point, the Nashor's Tooth as well as Green Soos has been done, so they could just take these 2 members with the percentage damage of Kai'Sa.
Yep, Corgi see it taken with that extra ward, but
no fight!
They're actually just going to go in for the fight. Oh, Svabi forced to flash over the wall. Keeper's Verdict is actually going to miss, and now she's stunned up in the Cataclysm, actually going to be taken out, rooted, and that's going to be a kill over to the Sivir.
Ornn having to teleport, recall out from the fight as well. We saw Yurif coming through with the Call of the Forge God on the back line, but the good sneak from the 2-man take. Poppy with a lot of armor is able to tank up the Baron and the 2-man with the Kai'Sa with items completed. And this is the item breakpoint we're talking about, right? You finish the Mana Immune has evolved to Muramana, you got the Green Soos, and you got the Nashor's Tooth. So at this point you're super confident. It's not even Nashor's yet, sorry. It is Nashor's, yeah, it is. Right. You're super confident doing consistent damage to the Baron because of your plasma stacks coming up so quickly, and you have all evolved skills as well.
Alright, so understanding the item breakpoints are top 10 DINO here, so they do manage to find a bit of an advantage as Aylama and Coco do meet in the river.
That's the thing about top 10 DINOs that's impressed me time and time again. The fact that they understand power windows and how to exploit them. So when they were playing ping pong with the vision the top side, and by ping pong I mean just like letting them clear the wards and then we put our wards down.
Yep.
it buys space for Kai'Sa to just not only charge up her mana mute, but also collect gold to hit the item breakpoint. And the moment she has, they're like, well, we can fight now. Because top lane is always going to be bounced back against top tier 2. It becomes your strong side of the map. You just collect the wave every time Kai'Sa goes there.
I would think it's a little unfortunate that they do get the item breakpoints now, though, since we are entering a bit of lull state. We don't have many neutral objectives to take right now, and as you can see on the map right now, both teams are just ping-ponging the waves back and forth.
Actually, right now, you can just dive with Kai'Sa on any side lane. Anyone that has CC, you send Kai'Sa to shadow that lane, you'll be able to create a map advantage instantly. I don't know if they're wise to display it, like I always call it, it's the LPL side lane play.
Okay.
Kai'Sa sits next to Ornn or sits next to Poppy. The moment you land CC, she flies in and finds the pick.
Alright. See a bit of a split push coming in from Urif, though. I don't think... This is a very interesting use of Ornn, I would say.
It's fine because she got so far ahead in lane 626. To be honest, I have to assign the blame where it is. Dew did not play the lane well. She played the Kled into the Ornn in a very poor fashion, not knowing how to micro the trades properly.
Here's the thing, right? Probably just down to a bit of inexperience, actually picking up the Ninja Tab Eyes against
yeah,
Ornn. Not exactly.
That alone just tells me all I need to know about this matchup.
Okay, we continuing the 1-3-1 right now, and honestly, top 10 Dino are just gonna push down these turrets for free unless Corgi's butt are gonna be able to find any sort of fight.
Yeah, they need to regroup in the mid lane now and
Be
just
careful. Oh, okay, Spell Shield managed to dissuade any further engage.
If you're Corgi right now, you need to focus on all-inning a fight right here before Ornn joins in.
We do see the makings of a dive as Aylama is forced to flash away. Cataclysm fights too, but Corgi is caught up in the shockwave, gonna be popped instantly. Double kill for the Kai'Sa onto the Jarvan 4 as they continue to push up.
Look at the minimap. Karma and Silver weren't there. When I say pick the fight, that's the angle that you need, but the rest of the team isn't there to supplement the damage, so it ended up being a suicide mission. Right, the mid and jungler, they're gonna lose this fight as well.
It's just bad. It's even worse right now. Karma's just gonna go down, instantly popped by the Ornn ultimate. Whew. Losing an inhibitor, and it's just gonna continue pushing for the Nexus. 3 down, 20 seconds on the death timer, 6-6. And Sivir right now, not much they can do really. If they go for a fight, it's just gonna get popped. But the charge is true, and it's just gonna knock up and knock down unmounted 6-6, popped by the rest of the team, and Sivir's just left to do the dishes right now as Nexus goes down in the favor of top 10 Dino. They will be going forward to the finals of these qualifiers.
In that last fight, they had the right intentions. They knew that was the angle that they needed to force, because in a 4v4, Ornn is worth so much more than Kled. So you have the timing window where you can force that fight. The problem is, Sivir and Karma were on the same page. They were busy clearing the mid lane wave, collecting the farm. In that situation, you have to rotate up to your top lane and make that play happen under the turret, not allow them to get caught out in dove.
Alright, well, as it stands, I think I want to see the amount of damage right now, because the Orianna damage is actually pretty disgusting, and like you saw, I think the issue mainly was that top 10 Dino were allowed to continue to farm up and, hit those item breakpoints, and in the end they managed to find favorable fights time after time, and that's why they won the game.
Yeah, and this harkens back, you see the mid lane difference in damage, harkens back to the early game item choices, right? I was calling out Corgi for saying, well, why do you take Corrupting Potion? Because then you just lose all your private lane, you don't have the damage, the health, and the lifesteal coming in to sustain under the turret to auto attack. You're missing minions through and through, and you're gonna fall behind eventually. It all accumulates, right? Had she gone a different way, I think that mid lane would have been a lot more manageable. Corgi into Orianna is actually decent if you know how to play the matchup out, especially when you hit that level 6, level 5 mark when you get the package. Your first one of the game is around 9 minutes, I believe. That's when you can start impacting the map. Orianna has nothing on you when you get that package with a slight lead.
And really, it's just top 10 Dino understanding their power spikes, really. I think that's the main reason why they were able to find that. But if you've got nothing else to add, I think we can end this.
Honestly, I think keep your eyes on Aylama. She's been playing magnificently this tournament so far. The mid laner of Dinos has been popping off left, right, and center, right? Even in matchups where she shouldn't be coming out ahead, she's actually doing super well. So I think if you have to strategize as Nitros right now, going into the finals, you look at how to neutralize the mid laner of top 10 Dinos.
Yep, 100%. I definitely agree you have to keep an eye on Aylama. But for now, guys, we're going to go to a short break. And when we come back, we're going to bring you a best of 3 versus, between Nitros and top 10 Dino.